Today we're cooking St. Louis ribs, Traeger Terri style. Bonjour ladies and gentlemen, it's Traeger Terri here. I am back with another tasty Traeger treat for you guys to all try at home. Today we're going to be cooking up some St. Louis style ribs. If you're not familiar in the UK with St. Louis style ribs, it's basically square ribs, which is like the midsection of the rib, with the tips cut off. So it's essentially a square cut of meat, and they're supposed to be super tasty. So the first things first, I'm going to fire up Randy. I'm going to get him to 120. Whilst he's heating up, I'm going to attempt to take the membrane off of my ribs, and then we'll get on to the fun stuff. But first things first, let's get Randy fired up. That's Randy doing his job. He's all fired up and ready to go. Now I've got to tackle this membrane. So get the gloves on because this could get a bit messy. I haven't tackled membrane before, but I know it's quite important to take off your ribs. Your butcher should be able to do it. It just takes a long time. Now there is a really handy technique with kitchen roll or kitchen paper that you can use to take it off, but I don't own that, so I'm going to do it by hand. The doctor is ready to operate. I'm going to take a sharp knife to begin with, and I'm literally just going to hack away at all this white stuff, the membrane. It's supposed to be quite chewy, and I don't think it's going to add anything to the flavour. If anything, it's just going to ruin it a bit. So I'm just going to slice away. I don't know how difficult this is going to be. I could be hacking this up. I could be totally ruining it. I don't know. You know what? There's a first time for everything. We're not all experts first time round. Just have a go with it. Now it does peel away quite nicely actually, so if you start with going along the bone. That was a bit more hard work than I thought it would be. Got quite a lot of the membrane off, quite a lot of fat as well. Don't really want the fat in there when I'm cooking. Just want it to be clean, you know, really enjoy the meat once it's done. However, next time I order ribs, I'm definitely going to ask my butcher very nicely if he can cut off the membrane for me. But it's another life skill. Now we're on to the seasoning. For this seasoning mix, I'm going to keep it quite simple. I'm going to keep it quite a dry rub. I'm not going to put butter in there, which is what you kind of do if you wanted them like really juicy and sort of saucy. Not going to put any barbecue sauce or anything on at the end. I'm just going to put in apple juice, bit of Worcestershire sauce, paprika, smoked paprika, garlic, and a bit of cumin, which I'm just going to mix into a bowl and then start pouring on top. And then I've got a bit of sugar as well to combine in there to really finish it off. So let's get started. So I'll start with the paprika. As we know now, I really like paprika. I'm quite generous with that. I like garlic. Throw a load of that in there. Followed by smoked paprika. Paprika in another form. And then a bit of cumin, a bit of spice in there. And then last but not least, I've got a bit of a brown sugar and salt concoction here. I'm just going to sort of pour in. I'm going to use all of that. And then I'm just going to mix it all together. Just throwing it everywhere. So give this a good mix. Get all the sugar combined. The reason I've gone with sugar is because I'm going to use Worcestershire sauce, which has a bit of a tang to it. But I'm also going to keep spraying on apple juice because obviously that goes beautifully with ribs. So I've just filled this up with apple juice and I'm just going to give it a quick spritz. Then I'm going to pour on some Lea & Perrins. Just to help some of the herbs stick to it. I'm going to do both sides. Then get my hands in there with my Worcestershire sauce. Probably should have put this in a spray bottle, but you know, I didn't. We're just going to get hands on. We're just going to rub in a little bit. What I'm going to do is keep on rubbing in and spraying on the apple juice as it cooks, probably every half hour to every hour. And you can smell it's quite vinegary, Lea & Perrins or just Worcestershire sauce in general, which is why I've kind of combined it with the sugar just to kind of give it that sort of sweet and quite acidic taste to it. So that's rubbed down kind of nicely. Now into my spice mix. So now we're just going to start by sprinkling on a bit of our little rub concoction. We're going to put loads of this on, we're just sprinkling for effect. It smells delicious. Right, time to flip. Don't worry if bits drop off, we'll catch them later. So this is just kind of my rub that I've just thrown together, and keep picking up all the excess. Don't forget the sides either. We want our ribs to be coated at every angle. Just kind of playing around with food, really. Everything you were told not to do as a child. Right, it's looking good. Randy's up to heat. Just gonna get this bad boy straight in. I'm gonna cook it on the actual grill grate today rather than my little skillet, just because that's how most people do it. So as a little side note, Traegers are built in with these little probes, so I'm just gonna insert a probe into the thickest bit of the meat, try and avoid the bone, literally just so I can monitor the internal temperature, because I'm gonna cook to temperature, not to time. So away we go. Right then, so Randy has been cooking away now for about 2 hours. The internal temperature of the ribs so far is 80. So quite close to being done. 91 is kind of the optimum temperature that we want to achieve today. We're going to pull it off the grill and we're going to put it into like a tin foil wrap just for the last kind of cook time, an hour to 2 hours. It's just going to stay really moist and keep those ribs really juicy. So it's going to get stuck in there and check them out. Looks like ribs to me. Right, I'm just going to attempt to get this out with my trusty prongs and stabby forky thingy. That was easier than I thought. So I'm just going to quickly make kind of a boat, really, because what I want to do is I'm going to get a load of apple juice into the tin foil for the last part, so it just kind of steams itself. What I've been doing for the last 2 hours is coming out every half an hour, just kind of spritzing it a little bit with the apple juice. And that's pretty much what we're going to do again now, but on a larger scale. Pour this in here. Apple juice gets everywhere. We can live with that. The bumblebees and waspies can soak it up. Alright, cool. Now for the tricky part. Gotta wrap this over. Make sure it's sealed up nice and tight, because we really want to keep moisture in there. It doesn't have to look like a masterpiece. Mind not to burn yourself on the probe, because that is hot. Randy is back in action now. He's working hard. Internal temp is currently 77, so it dropped a bit when I pulled it out. So it's all filled up now. It's a bit of apple juice in there. And now we're just literally going to leave it until it reaches temperature. And what we're looking for today is about 91 C, which hopefully should be quite a nice, tender sort of rib. So it's now a waiting game. Could take an hour, could take 2 hours. I'm going to keep coming back and monitoring the probe, and then we'll see what we have at the end of it. So I've just checked Randy, and he needs a top up. He is starting to run low on pellets, which for a long cook is not ideal. So maybe a few too many. The more the merrier. So it's been 3.5 hours. Randy has been cooking along nicely at 120 C, and the ribs are now at temperature. They're at 93 Celsius currently. So we're going to pull out the ribs, take out the probe, and we're going to let the ribs rest for about 10 minutes just to really sort of settle and get those juices flowing. So in we go. That is a lot of juices. Right, Randy, your work here is done, my friend. So we're really getting some paprika, garlic, apple, all those sort of really delicious herby smells are starting to come through now. The probe just slides right out. And now it's tough. We're just gonna wait. We're just gonna let it rest for 10 minutes, but it will be worth it. I'm just gonna leave it in the tin foil, and then I will take it out for the grand finale. 10 minutes has passed. It is now well rested. It is now time to open the foil and reveal the ribs within. They smell great. Oh yeah, there's still quite a bit of juice in there as well. but I'm just gonna have to let that go all over the place because I need to pull them out so I can cut the ribs. Try and get under it. It's still pretty hot, so just be cautious. Oh yeah. And there we have it. St. Louis style ribs, Traeger Terri style. Probably should have put gloves on. Juicy, moist. I can still see the steam coming off them. Flavoursome. Bought from a local butcher's. Fresh produce. Few simple ingredients. Cooked for 3.5 hours at 120 until it's reached 91 degrees C inside. Simple. Only took a few hours to cook, but well worth it. Now it's time to serve it, so here's a trendy montage of me cutting it up and displaying it for you.
Music got the best in me ever since I was a child. Now it's showing its ugly face. What can I do? Music creeps into my dreams, wakes me into sweaty sheets, abandons me when nights died out. What can I do?
So here we have it, the finished dish, St. Louis ribs, Traeger Terri style. If you like this recipe and you'd like to see more, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks guys!